All right, so you wanted to learn more about how open educational resources are really kind of shaking things up in the world of physics.
Mm,
So we dug into this website that's just it's jam-packed with interactive simulations.
wow.
It's called Open Educational Resources Open Source Physics at Singapore. And
Deep, right.
it is, and let me tell you, it's definitely not your typical physics textbook.
You know what's really cool about this site is it's all about giving everybody free access to these incredible tools.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about simulations, quizzes,
Uh-huh.
a whole bunch more. And they're all made to make learning physics engaging and accessible for anyone.
Okay, so free is always awesome.
Right.
But what makes these simulations so special? I mean, I feel like I've seen those little animations before, but this sounds different.
You're right. These aren't just like those basic animations.
Yeah.
They're interactive,
Okay.
which means you can actually change the variables and see how those changes affect the physical phenomena, that are being
Mhm.
simulated.
Right.
Imagine, like, trying to get a concept like superposition from a textbook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine being able to adjust the distance between, like, virtual wave sources in a ripple tank
Okay.
and then see the interference pattern changing in real time.
Huh.
That's what's so powerful about this website.
Yeah.
It takes these kind of abstract concepts and brings them to life.
Makes it real.
Exactly, in a way that, like, traditional learning, it just can't.
A virtual ripple tank. Now, I remember those from high school physics.
Sure.
It's basically where you make waves in a shallow tray of water, right? And it helps you visualize how waves, interact with each other.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And this website, it takes that classic tool and it just makes it even more powerful by making it into an interactive simulation.
Okay. Very cool.
In this JavaScript version, you can experiment with stuff like the distance between wave sources, the frequency of the vibrations,
Uh-huh.
and then you can just watch how those changes affect the resulting wave patterns.
Well,
It really helps solidify your understanding of, like, complex wave behavior.
so instead of just reading about, wave interference in a textbook, you can actually play around with it and see it happening right in front of you.
Exactly.
That sounds a lot more fun than my physics classes, I'll be honest.
I bet.
But is this website all about waves?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
The ripple tank is just one example
Right.
of the many simulations available on this site.
Oh, wow.
There's simulations covering all kinds of physics topics.
Okay.
Remember you mentioned an interest in DC motors?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Big time.
Well, there's a simulation on this site that lets you build a DC motor, like from scratch.
What?
Yeah, you can experiment with different coil windings, magnet strengths,
Uh-huh.
and then see how those changes affect the motor's speed and torque.
So it's like a virtual lab bench.
Right at your fingertips.
That's incredible.
We're just getting started.
Okay.
There's also simulations for projectile motion, where you can see how, like, the launch angle and the initial velocity affect, like, the trajectory of an object.
Mm-hmm.
They even have one that lets you visualize magnetic fields and see how they interact with charges.
Wow.
I mean, there's so much you can do with it.
Okay, so we've got interactive simulations covering like a wide range of physics concepts.
Yeah.
What really sets this site apart from, other online learning resources? Gotta admit, I'm really impressed by everything I'm hearing, but
Yeah.
I'm also kind of curious about something.
Okay.
When we talk about these resources being open,
Mm-hmm.
what does that actually mean in practice? It's
Ah.
not like I can just kind of waltz in and start changing the simulations, right?
That's a great question, and it really gets at, what makes this website so unique.
Okay.
So when we say open source, we basically mean that the code that was used to create these simulations is available for anybody to see.
Okay.
Think of it like a recipe. Instead of just being handed the finished dish, you get to see the ingredients and the instructions.
Mm-hmm.
You could follow it exactly, or you could, swap out some ingredients,
Right,
add
yeah.
your own little twists and make it your own.
So if I was like a physics teacher,
Yeah,
I could take these simulations and actually modify them to fit, my specific lesson plans.
absolutely.
Wow.
Let's say you're teaching a unit on circuits,
Okay.
and you want to add a specific component
Mhm.
that's not included in the default simulation.
Right.
Well, with open source, you can just tweak the code
Yeah.
and tailor it to your students' needs.
That's amazing.
You could even create your own simulations completely from scratch.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So it's like giving teachers the power
Teachability.
create custom-made learning tools.
It's about empowering teachers to be active in the development of these materials.
Yeah.
And because these resources are open source, it creates this, like, spirit of collaboration. teachers can share their modifications, their improvements with the global community.
So it's like a constant evolution.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so cool.
Wow.
We're moving away from a model where knowledge is like siloed and controlled by just a few people.
Yeah.
And we're moving toward the more open and collaborative approach where anyone can contribute to, the understanding of physics.
So it's not just about, free access to existing resources. It's
Right.
about creating this whole ecosystem of like shared knowledge
Yes.
and continuous improvement.
Precisely. That's where the real magic happens.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think about the potential impact this could have.
Yeah.
Especially like for students who might not have access to traditional learning resources.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This website and the open educational resources movement in general are really breaking down those barriers and democratizing education.
Yeah.
It's no longer about who can afford the best textbooks or the most expensive lab equipment. It's about providing everybody with the tools they need.
I remember when I was in school, physics felt like this exclusive club, like you had to have a certain kind of brain to even get in the door.
Oh, get it.
But this website with the simulations and the open source approach, it's making physics accessible to anyone with an internet connection.
That's what's so great about it. It's not just about the science itself.
Right.
It's about how we can use that science to make a positive impact in the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a real paradigm shift in education. Where do we go from here? What's like the next step in this journey towards open and accessible physics education?
That is the question. And it's one we all need to be asking ourselves.
Yeah.
With all these resources at our fingertips, how can we best use these tools to inspire the next generation of physicists and problem solvers?
I mean, imagine a world where every student has access to these interactive simulations.
Yeah.
That bring these concepts to life, where learning isn't confined to textbooks and classrooms.
Right.
But it can happen anywhere, anytime.
It could.
Where curiosity is driving everything.
Yeah.
And everyone has the opportunity to explore the wonders of the universe.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more attainable.
Wow.
Thanks to the hard work of those educators and developers who are passionate about this.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It really does feel like the future of physics education is like brighter than ever.
It does.
So what are some specific ways that we can take this vision and make it a reality?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to have these amazing resources,
Yeah.
but how do we ensure that they're being used to their, full potential? It is inspiring to think about all the possibilities.
Yeah.
But, access is it's just one piece of the puzzle.
It is.
We need to figure out how to like effectively use these resources, as part of the whole learning experience.
And I think one really key aspect is teacher training. We got to give these educators the skills and the confidence to use these tools well in their classrooms. And it's not just about knowing like how the simulations work, but it's understanding, how to incorporate them into lesson plans.
Yeah.
How to guide students as they're, exploring.
Right. Yeah.
How to assess the learning outcomes.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would be crucial.
Yeah.
But giving someone this like powerful new tool, but they need to know how to use it the right way to really get the most out of it.
Exactly.
What else comes to mind?
I think another important thing is fostering a culture of lifelong learning.
Okay.
These open educational resources, I mean, they're not just for students.
Right.
They're for anyone who's curious and wants to explore the world, you know?
Yeah.
We need to encourage people of all ages to just embrace that joy of learning and see these resources as like a gateway to new discoveries.
That actually makes me think back to the beginning of our deep dive. When you were talking about like how the website's almost like a playground for physics enthusiasts.
It is.
That's the feeling we need to get across,
Exactly.
That learning can be fun, engaging.
And something that you want to keep coming back to, you know?
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more.
I love it.
Yeah, we need to move past that idea that education's something that ends,
Right.
when you hit a certain age.
Like you graduate and that's it.
Yeah, physics is constantly changing. There's always new stuff to find out.
Absolutely.
And these resources are like this amazing platform for that journey of discovery.
So to kind of wrap things up here, we've been looking at this incredible website that has all these free interactive physics simulations we talked about, like the power of open source
Yes.
and how it's making education more accessible
For everyone.
And we've we've even imagined a future where learning it's this lifelong adventure. And it's all powered by, our own curiosity.
It is. It's beautiful.
And a desire to understand the universe.
It's been an awesome deep dive.
Yeah.
And I hope this sparked your own curiosity about physics.
If you're interested in learning more, I highly encourage you to check out the website we've been talking about.
It's so cool.
Who knows? Maybe you'll discover this passion for physics you never knew you had.
You just might.
Yeah. And remember, learning is a journey, not a destination.
Keep exploring. Keep asking those questions. Keep that curiosity alive.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into open educational resources in physics.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.